Welcome to the Women of Distance podcast. I'm your host, Lauren Kramer. These are the stories of motivated women chasing big dreams in the distance running world. You'll hear from women who are crushing it on the trails, the track, and the roads. These are not just the stories of results from the top of the sport, but the full story of how she got there, the challenges, failures, successes, lessons, and life between the miles. Before we begin, I want to be sure to thank Open Fuel for supporting the Women of Distance podcast. Stay tuned during this episode and check out the show notes to learn more about their responsible sports nutrition products, company ethos, and why it's worth your time to check out what they're making. Another quick thank you to Summit Roasters for supporting the Women of Distance project. Good coffee, roasted fresh in my hometown. Find their website in the show notes along with a special discount code to help support them and the podcast. We'd love to see Women of Distance listeners supporting those supporting us. Without further ado, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoy. Okay, I am hanging out with Kaylee Frederick, the overall champion of the 2026 Eastern States 100, the first female in the history of that race to be the overall champion. Kaylee, how are you doing? It's great to see you. Welcome back to Women of Distance.
I am doing very good. Thank you for having me on. I'm excited to talk about Eastern States and just running in general.
Yeah, totally. For listeners, I want to give you a little bit of credit here. You are across the world right now, and it is very early in the morning where you are. So thank you for waking up so early to hang out with me. This introduction is going to be a little bit long. This is actually our second time recording a full-length interview. I will link, it was just about this time last year. I guess it was probably July last year that we recorded for the first time and really talked through your whole story and history. So for listeners, I will link that in the show notes so that you can hear where you started. A super brief synopsis just of your running history. You ran your first ultra marathon at the age of 14. You ran your first 100-miler at the age of 16. You are, at the age of 18, you were the youngest finisher in the history of the Badwater 135 ultra marathon. Last year, you were the youngest competitor at the IAU 24-hour World Champs at the age of 20, and you finished 6th overall at that race, second American. You also, we're going to circle back to this, at the age of 18, you ran your first Triple Crown, the Pennsylvania Triple Crown. I'm going to come back to that and talk a little bit about what it is in a second. But here we are. You are 21 years old now, and you have had a heck of a summer. The first, like I said, female overall champion of the Eastern States 100. Catching us up a little bit from the last time that we talked, you have really been doing trail running for a long time, but I think you have originally found your strengths to be flatter, runnable, long distance races. I think Badwater's maybe a bad example. It's not exactly flat, but it is road. Obviously, 24-hour world champs run on a track. You seem to have really kind of shift gears and put your focus onto the trails for this season. Bring us back to, we're going to start with talking about the Pennsylvania Triple Crown. You ran Hyner back in the spring this year, Hyner 50K. What inspired you to shift your focus to the trails and change up what you had been doing the past couple of years?
So you're very right. The past couple of years have been focusing only on road and flat. And I feel like I had this gap because, so the 24-hour World Championship was in October, and then Worlds is every 2 years. So my goal is very much to run on the team for Worlds again, obviously if I make the team. And I had a pretty good mark of 147.66 miles. That put me at second, and I'm sure I'll move down, but it's still a fairly good mark where I might not even have to run another 24-hour race before the next Worlds, although I probably will, just for myself, to get a better mark for myself. So I was like, but then what do I do? All I've been doing is road. And so I was like, I'm really bad at hills. I'm so bad at them. So maybe I'll do trail running and get good at them, because if I get good at hills, that can only help me on flat, even though it's very different. Just being good at it, that can only make me better at it. So I kind of grew up on the trails. I started with a lot of like backpacking and things like that. So it was just kind of like a little return to where I came from. And this year has gone way better than I ever would have imagined. So going to Hyner, I knew I wasn't trained very well for it, and I knew I wasn't going to win. Just I knew there was really good competition at Hyner. The field was really deep. But my goal was to go into it and just kind of show up and blow up. I don't normally go into races like that, but I just wanted to see what I could do, like see where I was at, give myself a baseline, and it went way better than I expected. I think I ended up as 5th, and I ran 5:34, something like that, and I was I was in awe of myself. I didn't know where it came from. My coach was baffled. He doesn't know how I did that. Like, the training I didn't show that I should have been able to do that, but it showed that I have a lot better base than we've even thought. So it was a really good race.
That makes sense to me. Like fitness is fitness. You can start from flat and just take the the pace is
Yeah.
going to look different, but you can take that fitness and put it on a slant and translate it pretty well. Was your intention always to do the Triple Crown, or did you really just start with Hyner and then things kind of unfolded from there?
The intention was always the Triple Crown, and Eastern States was always like the A race at the end of it. But then like World's End ended up going really, really well in there too. So it all just worked out.
Okay, so let me talk about this a little bit. We are talking about the Triple Crown like everybody knows what it is, but a lot of listeners might not know what it is. So, the Pennsylvania Triple Crown is the pride and joy of Rocksylvania. For those who are not familiar with the terrain in that area, mountains are not the biggest mountains on the East Coast, but the terrain is maybe some of the toughest on the East Coast. Pennsylvania has the nickname Rocksylvania because it's just highly, highly technical terrain in this area. The Triple Crown is three classic races that happen over the course of the spring and the summer. The Hyner 50K is first. It's one of the oldest races on the East Coast. It's definitely one of the oldest in Pennsylvania. It's a 50K. It has 6,500 feet of elevation gain over 50K. Then you have the World's End 100K, which is, about 2 months later, like end of June, mid June.
End of May.
Oh, end of May. Okay, so it's even closer. It's only probably 5 or 6 weeks at that point. World's End 100K. And then you finish the end of the summer with the Eastern States 100, which we are going to get into talking about in great detail. You had accomplished this when you were 18. You finished all three of those races in a single summer. This year, I couldn't find timekeeping records. I looked really hard, but you had to have set the fastest female time for completing the Triple Crown. I have to imagine.
Yeah.
Talking about this race at Hyner, you also then went to World's End and set the female course record by 59 minutes at World's End 100K, won the race, obviously. And then at Eastern States, you broke the course record by an hour 25. So the Triple Crown, I think this is kind of cool. I assume you know this, but maybe you don't. The Triple Crown gives everybody who finishes all three races credit. There's also a king and queen of the Triple Crown each year, which is just the male and the female who completed it the fastest. You were crowned the queen of the Triple Crown this year, but you actually finished the Triple Crown substantially faster than the top male who was crowned king of the Triple Crown. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it
Did you
was
know that? Did you look that
I
up or do the math on it?
yeah, I did see that. And I think it actually all came down to Eastern States, because it was Jesse Stauffer who was king
Hmm.
of the mountain, and like he was faster than me um at Hyner, and then he got first place at World's End, and I got second place at World's End. So it really all came down to Eastern, and I just had a very good race at Eastern, so it helped me out a lot.
World's End was pretty close though too.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I just talked a lot. I want to hear a lot more from you about, okay, you had this race at Hyner. You sort of showed something to yourself that maybe you were stronger on this kind of big vert, big elevation gain and trail than you thought you were. Finishing that race, what did your mindset or how did your mindset shift or change going into the World's End 100K? This is also a highly technical 100K.
Yeah, at Hyner, I feel like there was a huge flip in my head where ever since I was a wee little tot, ever since I was a kid, I've been telling myself that I'm terrible at hills. Like I'm not good at hills. They're my biggest weakness and things like that. And I think after Hyner, maybe even during Hyner sometimes, I just realized that even though hills are my biggest weakness, doesn't mean I have to be bad at them. So like even now, hills are still my biggest weakness, but that doesn't mean that I'm have to be bad at them. So I think just the thought and just knowing that I don't have to be bad at them. Like I almost gave myself permission to get good at them. So I feel like that was the biggest change for me because I feel like it's not like the fitness really changed in the matter of one race. It was really just in my head. And then after Hyner, I still hit hills really hard. I've still worked very, very hard this year on hills and on trails, but also just giving myself that permission that I don't have to be bad at them. I'm allowed to get good. What made a huge difference going into World's End and Eastern.
That's interesting. Telling yourself a different story about yourself. Did your training change much at all between the two? Like in a given week, what does your training schedule look like? Are you doing mostly flats and roads as the base of your training? Or are you starting to spend more time on trails in a training week as well?
Definitely spending more time on trails. So all of my long runs, Saturday and Sundays, are long trail runs with heavy vert. And then Monday is still just like easy day. Tuesday is speed work. Wednesday, another like easy medium day. Thursday hills and Friday, another just like easy medium day. So definitely throwing in trail on like Monday, Wednesday, Fridays whenever I can. And then Tuesday, Thursday, usually I was still doing mostly on the road for my speed and hill workouts. But just throwing in more trail, basically anywhere I can fit it, anywhere I have time. If I could get on the trail, I would be on the trail.
Talk a little bit. I think your situation is unique just in that you are in college. You are over, we talked about in New Zealand doing student teaching right now. You also work more than one job at the same time. How are you fitting trails into your schedule? Like, I think that's sort of an interesting roads sort of compress your time and are a little bit more efficient in terms of how much time it takes you to do your workout. Trails are a little bit different in that regard.
Very much so. And so I think in leading up on those easy run days, say, where in my plan it would be 5 to 7 miles or 5 to 8 miles. If I'm on the road, I 100% of the time always make time to do the upper limit of what my plan says. But knowing that I'm getting on the trails and it's going to be a little bit slower, I just have to be okay with the same amount of time, but it being a little bit less miles. So maybe like towards the middle or lower end of what I'm given. And in my head that sucks. And I don't like that because I like doing the most of what I can, but also knowing that I'll benefit more from doing less on the trail than doing more on the road.
With equivalent time. Yeah. How
Yeah.
did you make that mental adjustment? Because I think that's a common, I can really understand where you're coming from there. You want to hit the numbers as they're written in your plan, but needing to kind of loosen up and let go on that.
I don't know. I still struggle with it. I think it's more of just like I prioritize training a lot, and in this build up and this past semester, I've tried to allot myself like so much time every day between jobs to run and go to the gym, but it's still not enough time because, 2 hours isn't enough time to get in a run and a good workout. So just knowing that I have to, like, and knowing it's like quality over quantity. And I knew overall my mileage was way lower than in previous blocks, so I just kind of had to accept it and know that the training and the mileage was in there, and I just kind of know how to do that already. So the focus just had to be on getting better at what I'm not good at.
I love that. Hey folks, quick interruption to tell you a little bit more about Open Fuel. If you're not already familiar, check out their website at openfuel.co. They're on a mission to provide the quality sports nutrition you need without the trash and waste you don't. Their Ultra Fuel drink mix provides 60 grams of carbs and 500 milligrams of sodium per serving, while actually offering great taste at the same time. They have 3 flavor options. Mango Tango is my personal favorite, as well as a naked unflavored option. They also just released a new gel mix that is hands down the smoothest gel I've ever had. It takes about 60 seconds to fully mix their powder with hot water for as much gel as you'll need for your next run. Carry 3 to 4 gel servings in their branded gel flask or any size soft flask you prefer, and your nutrition is fully covered without creating or carrying any trash along the way. I genuinely love and use these products almost every day, and I'm proud to stand with the ethos behind the company. Again, check them out at openfuel.co and use code WOD for 20% off every order, every time, while supporting the podcast at the same time. Now, back to the episode. Talk about World's End a little bit. You kind of came into Hyner 50K to kind of F around and find out, and you found out. You went into World's End with a new kind of confidence and a new kind of permission. How did that day unfold for you?
World's End was very interesting because I went in sick. I was traveling. I was in Montana on a little vacation before, and then I was flying home on Thursday, going to the race on Friday, and I got pretty sick on Tuesday while I was gone. And I went to the doctor Thursday morning before my flight, and they were like, "There's nothing we can do for you. It's a viral infection. Like, it just takes time to get rid of." I was like, "That's really great. Thanks." So I was like, "I don't have time to get better." Um, so I went home and I was basically I was on Dayquil and NyQuil, just like all the cold medicine and stuff. And so going into World's End, I had looked at the course record and I set out splits for the course record as like perfect day, best case scenario. I didn't actually look at them. I just gave them to my crew so they had like an idea of if I'm having a perfect day, this is when you should be there. But I kind of told my mom, she was screaming, I was like, it's not gonna happen. Like, yeah, the first aid station, be there just to be there, but like, it's not gonna happen. Like, I got to pack a pickup on Friday night and took NyQuil so that I would pass out as soon as I was done. I pack a pickup because I was barely sleeping, and then I took Dayquil like the morning of the race. Was like, that's not how you're supposed to go into a race. Um, but I don't know, there's some kind of switch, like once I started, like my throat still hurt and everything, but it didn't really matter. I was like, I'm sick. It is what it is. I'm still just gonna try to run the best race that I can, and I feel like I did, and I just had funsies, and it was nice not knowing my splits. Like, I didn't know those course record splits. I think I had stuff set up for like 13 hours too, or 14 hours maybe? I don't know. It was like 14 hours and 15 hours too. Like, I didn't know any of my splits. I was really just running on feel and on what felt good. So, like, whenever I was coming in, I knew one split where I picked up my pacer and I knew I think about 20 minutes ahead of it. So I was like, whoa. I was like, only had 26 miles left or something like that. And I was like 20 minutes ahead of my split. So that was kind of crazy to know and kind of gave me like a boost of confidence. And also at that aid station, I washed my ibuprofen down with Dayquil mid race. So that was interesting. Um, but it ended up just like going really well. And then whenever someone told me I was in second place overall, I was like freaking out. I was like saying to my coach, Eric, who was pacing me, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in second place overall. That's so cool. I was like freaking out. I thought I was the coolest person on the course. But it was just a really good feeling to know how far ahead of the course record I was and everything, to be like, wow, we're really doing this. Like, we can be an okay runner. Like, it was a really nice feeling.
I think in the several interactions that I've had with you at this point, I have learned about you that you hold yourself to a high standard. You have high expectations of yourself. And it sounds like, at least for these first two races of the Triple Crown, you really sort of like let it go a little bit and just like did the best that you could on the day. And it just, I guess my question is, did releasing some of that pressure, you think, help you to tune into your effort, tune into what you were actually doing out there and maybe was an asset to you along the way?
110%. I feel like my brain is genuinely it's such a bad and dark place, and I feel like now that I'm learning myself and I'm learning how to control my head more and this new kinda, like, run how you feel, like, put in a hard effort because if I'm putting in a hard effort and it's not a course record time, well, I still put in a hard effort, and afterwards, I don't really know how I would deal. I haven't had that experience yet. Um, but putting in a hard effort, if I'm in shape enough, it will pan out to whatever time I was had in my head or if it was the course record or whatever I was looking at. And I feel like it's helped me a lot dealing with external pressure and that pressure I put on myself. It's it's been a very crazy mindset shift, and I hope that I can keep kind of leaning into it and tweaking it more and more as I go and as I learn how I race and how I learn my head and keep adjusting it until we just become unstoppable, hopefully, one day.
Do you feel like just being on the trails has made it easier to do that? Like splits and paces don't mean as much. They're not as finite or like yeah, finite is probably the word on the trails. And even when you're looking at like course record splits, you talked about feeling like hills are not your strength. The way that a course record is run could be completely different for two different people. If they are uphill strong, if they are downhill strong, technical skill, like it just sort of erases the expectation, I guess, when you're on trail because people run so differently. Has that
Mhm.
been part of the factor in like helping you to be able to do that?
I feel like that is a big part of it because in my flat races and loop races, like, I'm constantly checking my watch because I have
Yeah.
to be hitting the same exact splits for all 100 miles or all 24 hours. Like, I'm not diverting, like, even 3 seconds off of a lap. I'm like, "That was a bad lap if I'm 3 seconds off." So in trail where 1 mile might be 8:50 if you have, like, this nice downhill runnable section, and then the next mile could be a 19-minute mile because you're going straight back uphill, and so, in my head, if I'm watching my watch, I'll definitely do math, like, "Okay, that averages out to this," but you can't keep track of it, like, it's way too much, and you just have to go on what you're feeling, so I feel like that's definitely helped me a lot, and you're really right where, um running with other people, like, I oftentimes, like, I don't really run with other people on the trail because strengths are so different, and I know that if I try to keep up with someone on a hill, I'm just gonna burn myself out. When if I let them go on my strengths on the downhill, I'm probably gonna catch them anyway, and then they might catch me on the next uphill, and that's A-okay. That's just how it goes.
Yeah. So you've been able to sort of feel that out and feel out, let yourself sit in your own strengths and feel that out as you go. I think that's cool.
Mhm.
Maybe along a similar line, in addition to those three races we talked about with the Triple Crown, you also ran a fourth race, the Ironstone 100K, which you went out and just ran for fun. And I think I enjoyed reading your post and your recap about this. Talk a little bit about what inspired you to do that race and how you approached that in a different way as opposed to being competitive, at least for most of the way. Spoiler alert, you did really well in the race too, but I don't know that that was your intention.
Yeah, so if you do the Triple Crown and then Black Forest 100K in October, that's considered the blacklist. And then if you add in Ironstone 100K, that's considered the Sufferfest if you do all 5 in the same year. So I was like,
Okay, I knew okay, I hadn't heard of the
yeah,
Sufferfest before.
yeah. So I was like, I might as well do that. So I knowing Ironstone was so close to Eastern, my coach was like, absolutely not. You're pulling out of Ironstone. You can't do that. And I was like, no, coach, you can't. Like, you can't make me do that. I was like, I won't race it. I'll just have fun. I'll go really slow. Like on the rail trail, I'll just find a friend. I'll jog it really slow. And then the actual trail, I'll literally walk the whole thing. Because if you know anything about that section of the Mid-State Trail, it is pure rocks. Like you're on boulder fields and rocks. And so if I was racing it and running it, the likelihood of getting hurt, it's just so high because of how many rocks there are up there. So I ended up running pretty much the whole thing with my friend Joe, and we had just had a good time out there. We had fun, and we ended up doing pretty well. I think we were top 10 overall, and I ended up as second female. And it was under the old course record, but like it wasn't anything spectacular. I was just having a lot of fun, and not every race has to be a race. Sometimes you can run a race for funsies, and that's okay, and you can make friends and have fun with it, and that's what I did. And I plan on doing that same thing at Black Forest in October. Just have fun and make friends and see what happens.
What does it mean for your confidence heading into Eastern states that you went into this race just to have fun and chill and take it easy, and you still ended up as second female and under the old course record? I'm putting words in your mouth here. This is not what you said, but without particularly trying. Like,
Yeah.
what does that do to you and your confidence, and how do you receive that?
It definitely was a very big confidence booster. And even in like talking to my coach, when I finished the race, I actually had a whole bunch of texts from my coach that was like, he was so mad at me. He was like, I can't believe you just raced that. Like, this isn't what we agreed to. Um, you weren't supposed to run this race fast. Like, he was like, what were you thinking? And I was like, no, like, listen, I know I got second place and everything, but I swear to you, I was not racing. And so then I think once I actually got to talk to him and like tell him how everything went down, he was like, it's if you really weren't racing, which I really wasn't, I feel like I walked the whole thing. I know I jogged a little bit, but I feel like I walked the whole thing. He was like, if you really weren't racing and you still put down that time and you did what you did, like it's crazy the level that you're at now. And so I feel like hearing that from my coach was like a big confidence booster to be like, oh, like, yeah, we weren't really trying and we still did pretty decent at this race, like pretty well. So I feel like it was a nice confidence boost going into Eastern States, but also I think it needs to be mentioned that the girl that won Ironstone was Justina Wilson, and I knew she was also racing Eastern States. So that I also knew that. I was like, okay, she's still really good. I know that she's going to be there, and I know that she's still really good. So,
So, talk a little bit now about coming into Eastern states. For those who are not familiar, the course is actually 106 miles, I believe, and
uh,
20,000 feet of elevation gain in Pennsylvania wilderness. Am I right? 106? 103.
103, 103,
Three.
yeah.
Okay. This is your second time running the race. What were your thoughts going into the race? What expectations did you have of yourself entering this race?
So immediately following World's End, um, there was no more really like flying under the radar in the PA trail scene for me for a long time. Even after Hyner, like Hyner's so big, there's so many people. Even though I put down a good time, it's like some people knew I was good, but a lot of people I was still just like the 18-year-old that isn't great at trail running. So after World's End, though, whenever people saw like second overall broke the course record by 59 minutes, there wasn't much hiding anymore. So immediately after that, there were expectations flying everywhere. Like everybody had ideas for me. Everybody knew that I was gonna, or they didn't know. Everybody was like, "Oh, you're gonna run sub 24, break the course record. Like you're gonna be the first woman under 24 hours. Um, you're gonna get first place female." Just there were expectations everywhere, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I was like, this is too much pressure, like, way too much listening to what everybody's saying." And, I mean, not that everybody was wrong, those were the goals I had in mind. I did have course record and first female under 24 hours in mind. That is what I set my splits up for my crew. I had like a 23:30 set up, 24 hours, 26 and 28, I believe, set up for my crew, just so they had different times of when to be at aid stations, depending on how I was doing and everything. And again, 23:30 splits were absolutely best case scenario. I'm having a perfect day. That's unlikely in a 100-mile race. Like, things usually go wrong, but it's still there just in case you need it. But again, I kind of knew my splits. I knew most of the aid stations between crew and aid stations were supposed to like take 4.5 hours and stuff, but I didn't really focus on it. So for me going in, I was so nervous. Like, all these people had expectations of me. They were all asking what my goals were. And so anytime someone asked me, like, what time are you trying to run? What are you trying to do? I just said, I'm going to run as fast as I can on race day. And I told my crew, even, I said, I don't know what you guys are going to tell people when I'm actually racing. I'll have no clue. You could lie to me, tell me whatever. But I said, especially on Friday, a packet pickup, especially if I'm around, if somebody asks you, like, oh, what's your runner trying to do? Just say she's trying to run as fast as she can on race day. Like, I knew the pressure was there, but I was trying to convince myself it wasn't there. So I was just running as fast as I could. And that's how I went into it.
I think that's smart, and knowing that that is something that has been difficult to handle in the past is those expectations from other people feel different than expectations that you have of yourself. Um, how do you feel like you talked to yourself sort of morning of coming up to the start line and about to begin this? What were some of the internal thoughts and feelings that you were having?
I feel like I went into this one with actually, I didn't tell really anybody this before other than my coach. I was like, it was like a quiet confidence. Like, I knew the time that I was trying to run is really fast for that course. Like, there's a reason no female had ever run under 24 hours. There's a reason very few men have ever run under 24 hours. Like, that's a very fast time on that course. So I knew it was going to be very hard, but I also knew I did everything I could. Like, sure, I could have done more. You can always do more in training. There's always that, oh, I could have whatever, could have done more. But I knew I had done enough. I knew I'd done all the work that I could have done. I fit as much as I possibly could in without getting injured. And this was the first race I was going into without my Achilles being flared up in a very long time. So it was like, I was just quietly confident. Like, if I have a good day, it could happen. And if I don't have a good day, I still think I'll put up a pretty good time. So I was just kind of ready to start. I was just there. I was in the moment.
I'm enjoying hearing this. It sounds like kind of just the perfect combination of not putting pressure on yourself, and even like in analyzing your training, like I did what I could and now I'm here, so I'm going to go put my best out there. I think that's a really healthy way to approach it, and I think that's challenging to do, especially when other people have eyes on you. You know the historic times and you have a sense of what you might be capable of. Um, Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I heard Megan Eckert talking before, and she said that, like, race day is like the reward. Race day is like the party for all the work you put in. And I feel like I really like that. And I've kind of been trying to, like, think more like that, where, like, it doesn't really matter. Like, once race day comes, it doesn't matter what your training looked like. If your training sucked, it doesn't matter because it's race day. There's nothing
Right.
you can do to fix it. So I feel like I've kind of been trying to lean into that. Like, okay, I have done the work and now I get to see if it pays off. So I kind of have been leaning into that.
I love that. Staying curious.
Yeah.
Um, Talk about the day as the start gun went off and you begin this race. What did the competition look like? Where did you find yourself and how did you feel when you first started running for several hours?
So the competition on the women's side, like there were some really good women. There were at least three women, including myself, going for the same exact goal that I was. Like there was some very good competition. Women wanted to go sub 24. They wanted to break the course record, wanted to win, and so going in, I knew that, and I just was like, it doesn't matter what they want because I can't run their race. So I was really focused on running my race, and I kind of found myself very quickly in once things settled out after the first maybe 7 or 10 miles, I quickly found myself in second place female. And I don't know where overall. I believe we were in top 10 overall. Like going into that first crude aid station, I think we were top 10. And um, my crew told me I was 3 minutes behind first place female. And then I didn't see my crew again until mile 43. Like there's more aid stations. There's 15 aid stations, but the crude aid stations are pretty far apart, 18 to like 25 miles, just because logistically in the PA wilds, there's not parking and those roads are like very sketchy back there. Um, so I just kind of kept running my own race. I was like, she's 3 minutes ahead, but I'm only 18 miles in. Like, there's no point. I'm not going to run faster to catch her. I'm not going to try to run her race. I just kept running where I felt good. If I needed to walk on a hill, I walked on a hill. If I felt a section coming up that was really runnable, that's what I did. And coming out of Lower Pine Bottom, mile 18, the crude aid station, there's the fourth climb, and that climb hit me like a truck. Like, that was like my first low. A mile, maybe like 18 to 20. It's just this huge climb. And I was just like, yeah, I just lost all that time. I had 3 minutes. I was 3 minutes behind Justina. Like, there's no way. I've got to be at least 10 minutes behind her now, like at least. But I was like, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I lost time because it's still early. I'm still just running my race. And then I knew also once you get to the 50K mark, there's this like really runnable stretch from 50K to mile 43. Like there's still hills in there, but there's a bunch of really runnable stuff in there. And I knew that from I did training runs on the course. So I was like, I just need to get there. And then I know that'll play to my strengths. I know I have a runnable section coming up. And once I was on that runnable section, there's a power line section. And I actually saw Justina and I was like, okay, she's only 5 minutes ahead of me, max. And I was like, whoa. So all that time I lost, like I was really struggling on that climb. She struggled in there too. Might not have been on that climb, but somewhere in the past 15 miles, she also slowed down somewhere. So like I feel like that was a confidence boost. Like, okay, it's been 15 miles since I knew I was 3 minutes behind her. I know I struggled a lot. I know I lost a lot of time, but she did too. And so and then in my head, I was like, okay, I'm still in it. Like I wasn't taken out yet. And then running down into Hyner aid station, you see your crew, and there they told me again, I think I was 4 minutes behind her there. So it was like, I literally, like, we've been running the same race. Like, I haven't lost any time. And like, that definitely made me feel good. And I knew I was picking up a pacer at Hyner. And that pacer's job, his name was Carrick. I told him before the race, I had it all written out. Like, your job is to keep me moving fast on this section. It's not a particularly hard section. There's climbs, but I'd say I think it's maybe 3 to 4,000 feet of vert, maybe 4,500 in 20 miles. So it's not like the first section. The first section is the worst. And his job was to just like, I said, if I'm running in a podium spot place, if I'm running in second place, if I'm running in third place, I'm not competing yet, but keep me in striking distance. Like, your goal is to just keep me moving fast, keep running my own race, but not make a move this early. Like, competition wise, running in second place was probably the best thing I could have done for as long as I did. Like, I liked knowing where I was at because I wasn't running scared. So I feel like I'm going fast. If you have any questions, feel free to
No,
jump
I'm
in.
just enjoying listening. You keep
Yeah.
going. So this stretch that you're talking about is coming out of mile 45-ish.
Yeah, mile 43 to 63.
43 to 63. Okay.
Yeah, so Hyner to Tomb Flats, and at an aid station in there, I believe it was aid station 8, so Hyner 7, I think it was aid station 8, um, again, I saw Gabe Batdorf, and then I saw someone really small in front of him. I was like, "That's a girl." I was like, "That's 100% a girl." And I just, like, looked at Carrick, and I was like, "Okay, she's right there, but it doesn't matter. Like, we're not making a move right now, but we know she's there. Like, I'm in a really, really good position. This is right where I wanna be." And then coming up into the aid station, I feel like Justina had to see me, because she was leaving the aid station as I was getting to the aid station. But I was like, "It doesn't matter. She knows I'm behind her. That's good, because now she has to run scared. Like, she knows I'm right here." And so I still just, like, got my bottles, got my ice bandana filled. I'm not screwing around in the aid stations, but I wasn't going to try to rush out of there to get in front of her for what reason? I was only 50 miles into the race. Um
This is so I am going to interrupt you for a second because I'm really kind of blown away at how calm and controlled you were able to be in this situation. You were in a race. You were tight with first female and you kept yourself so calm and so controlled and like you said, I'm not racing yet. I'm just taking care of myself. I'm just doing my thing. That's veteran experience that you have earned over you're only 21 years old, but the years that you have put into this sport and this distance is really showing here in the way that you're describing this.
mhm.
Anyway, go ahead because I know what's coming.
Yeah, so I um, I passed Gabe at that aid station. I left that aid station before he did, and then Justina had left maybe a minute or 2 before me. But again, I'm talking to Carrick, who's my pacer, and I'm like, "It's not time. Let's just." I knew there was more elevation coming up. I knew there was more runnable stuff coming up. I was like, "We're just gonna keep, using the downhills where we can, and I'm gonna hike the uphills. I'm not gonna push them harder than I need to." We were only 50 miles in. So we just kept doing that for the next it would have been like half marathon. There's one more aid station in there, and then you get to the river crossing. And as I was going through that next 13 miles, we like passed this guy, and he was like, "Dude, I think he was in third." He was like, "I'm pretty sure that guy was in third place," which would have put me in third place. He was like, "I could be wrong. Maybe he was in fourth," but because he was at the last crew station waiting for me, he was like, "I'm pretty sure that guy was in third." And I was like, "Are you for real?" Like, I had no clue my overall placement. Um, and then I saw Jesse Stauffer, and I was behind him for a little bit, and then I passed him, and I was like, "Okay, this means Justina is running in first place." Like, if you are correct, that means Justina is currently running in first place, which means the first 2 people are now women. I was like, if he was like, "I'm 95% sure, like, that's correct." And it was crazy, and going into the river crossing, I never passed Justina, so I don't know if she was, like she didn't have a pacer either, so, like, she could have been using the bathroom, and, like, I wouldn't have seen her pacer, like, standing on the trail waiting for her, so I'm not sure if she got off trail a little bit and I passed her, or if she was just using the bathroom and I passed her, but I passed Justina without knowing it. So going into the river crossing, like, everyone's going, like, crazy. Like, everyone was going
Yes.
crazy, and I
At home
was
too.
yeah, yeah, and, like, I knew so many people there, so it was, like, so exciting, but like, everyone's going crazy, and as I'm changing, because I'd been looking forward to this river crossing since mile 4, it was so hot, I was so gross, it felt amazing. I had a full clothing change, though, and I'm changing, and someone's like, "Yeah, you're in first place overall." Like, my jaw dropped. I was like, "What do you mean?" Like, going across the river crossing, if y'all have seen any picture, it's probably the one of me going across that, and, like, I was genuinely smiling, I was so happy, but I was so happy that I was in second place. I was, like, literally in my head, I'm thinking, "My coach is picking me up here. to pace me the next section, and he's going to be so proud of me because I just ran my race the first 63 miles, even though Justina was right in front of me. I didn't try to catch up to her. I ran my race. I'm in second place. I'm doing so good. Like, I was like, he's going to be so proud of me. I was genuinely just smiling. So I was so happy to be there. And I knew, like, so far I'd run my race despite how the competition was laid out. And then when I found out I was in first place, I like, my jaw actually dropped. I was like, what do y'all mean? Like it was insane.
This was a really cool moment from the outside as well, because I had been following the race loosely. I wasn't following like split by split or like really closely on the tracker, but I had just kind of been keeping track throughout the day. And this post came out and it was you were crossing the river, and that was the report. It was you and Justina top two overall, and you were within 60 seconds of each other. This is 64, 63 miles into the race, like really far into the race, and you're 60 seconds apart at the front of the race. And I think people who were watching now had their attention on, like, holy cow, this is incredible. Something special is happening here. And it's cool to hear that you didn't fully comprehend all of that yet. You were really just like having your own day and really soaking that up for where you thought that you were. And then you discovered. Talk about what does it do to your headspace when you learned that you were leading the race overall after that river crossing?
It was very crazy. Like, it was a very crazy realization because I knew some of the men that were there, and, like, it's not like all the men sucked. Like, it's not like there was no male competition. Like Jesse was running, Gabe Batdorf was running. Like, there were good men there. So just the fact that I was ahead of them, I was like, what? And it's not like I didn't feel unconfident, like, oh, I'm ahead of them and I shouldn't be. Because I was going too fast. I knew I got there because I knew I was in that position because I was running Kaylee's race. I knew I was there because I was supposed to be. And so that was crazy. And leaving that aid station at mile 63, I was taking my coach, Eric, as my pacer, and Justina actually left right before me. So I was like, give me a sec. Like, you're on the rail trail for a mile before you get back on the trail. And even on the rail trail, like, my coach is obviously fresh. You get a fresh pacer, like, they feel good. I had to be like, hey, like, slow down. Like, I'm going a little too fast. I'm putting a little too much effort in on this rail trail. Like, we can't be doing that. And he was like, yeah, sorry, like, I'm fresh. Just yell at me, obviously. And even though I'm watching Justina in front of me, I wasn't trying to make that move because I was like, I'm not going to do it when I'm putting in effort. Like, I want it to be natural. Like, I'm just going by pace. And then we got on the climb, and I, for some reason, was doing good, feeling good on this climb. And I just looked at coach and I was like, I gave him the thumbs up, and he gave me a thumbs up. And then I made my move and um, went around her, and I was hiking. I wasn't running up this hill. We were both hiking, but I just happened to be like hiking faster. And he was like, all right, now we have to like keep up this pace for a little bit, obviously build that gap to make it. When you make a move, you have to make a move. You have to be ready to make that move. So I did that, and then I knew how this was actually the section I was doing with my coach. That was my favorite section I did in training. So knowing that, I was like, this is a really fun section. There's only really two big climbs. The rest is super runnable. It's super fun. It really plays to my strengths. So I just did that. I had fun with my coach. I was at like past mile 70 before I even pulled out a headlamp, and like, that was crazy for me to think about.
Yeah.
Because last time I did this race, I was somewhere between Hyner and Tomb Flat, so somewhere between 43 and 63. I had my headlamp on. Like, I was dark coming across the river crossing last time. So the fact that I was so far ahead of where I was a couple years ago, like, it was all just like really crazy to realize. And then obviously nothing was guaranteed. Like, I was then in a bad position. I'm in first place. I have no clue where first place male is. I have no clue where second place female is. And none of the aid station people know because I'm the first one coming through.
Right.
Like, I'm now in like a harder position. And so just running with him though, he was like, we don't care if a guy passes us. Like, obviously it would be cool, but if a guy passes us, it's okay. We're not going to run his race. And I was like, I know, you're right. You're right. And then later he was like, but you need to start visualizing what it would feel like and what it would look like to win first overall. Because obviously we had visualized like what it would be like to win first female, but I don't think it crossed anybody's mind first overall. And I was like, yeah, like I'll start thinking about that a little bit. So um I ran with him all the way into Blackwell. And I had a nice surprise visitor from my monthly visit at mile 75 that I wasn't expecting. So that was
Oh
fun.
man.
Yeah, I
Oh,
ran into the aid station. I was like, does anybody have anything? Please, anybody. Some random girl gave me some stuff. I don't know who she was, but bless her. Um
bless her heart.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I was like, sorry, coach, this is gonna be really gross, but I just need you to listen to me talk about it for a little bit because um yeah. And then we ran into mile 80, and again, the hype at Blackwell was crazy. Like, female coming through in first place, like, everyone was so excited. It was really, really cool to like. I've never really been in that position. Like, I've never uh, been in a lot of races like that were important that I'm running in first overall. So that hype was just amazing, and I feel like it was kind of doubled from no offense, kind of doubled from what it would have been if it was a guy in first overall. Like, it's just not something anybody experiences on the volunteer
it's
side, on the crew
historic.
side. Yeah. So it was
Yeah.
really cool. And then I got to run the last 23 miles from mile 80 to 103 with Abby Zabachin. And she is a 16-year-old girl who I met her when she was 12 years old. And she was helping me with a 70-mile run attempt. And she at 12 years old was like, I want to run Eastern States one day because her dad had run it, and like her dad is very involved in ultras, and like she's been very involved in it since a young age. And I was like, yeah, like I need to hang out with this girl. Like, she was like a mini me. And so I actually just paced her when she ran Laurel Highland 70 miler in June as a 15-year-old. And
Wow.
and I was like, I often I run better with men just in general. It's kind of, I don't know, it's just like how my head works. But I was like, I want Abby to have the opportunity to come pace me. Like, I felt like it would just, I just kind of wanted her there. I was like a 16-year-old to experience that. I mean, she has paced her dad, but her dad is he's a really good runner, but he's not like a front of pack runner. So I feel like it was a very different experience for her, and her mom also helped out in crewing me. And so I feel like it was really cool to just have her, like, she was 16 years old and she was pacing the first place overall female to the finish. And I'm sure she hated
That's
me. And
amazing.
yeah, I told her, like, in her notes, before, I was like, there's a chance I don't speak to you for 23 miles. And I barely spoke to her for 23 miles because, like, I was working so hard. Everything hurt so bad. And but she was amazing. I said to her, I was like, I'm not gonna talk to you, but I need you to talk to me. Like, I don't care what you talk about, but I need you to talk. Because if you don't talk, my head is so quickly just gonna, like, I'm gonna get sad. I'm gonna go into a bad place. So she just kept talking about random things. It was amazing to have her there. Um,
Wow. I like, regardless of the result, that whole story is really cool. That this is someone that you have inspired and mentored in some way to in the path that you took. And I know that that path was not easy for you. So I can only imagine that having someone like you in her life as both an example and a friend to sort of guide her through and nurture her fire in this sport is very cool. And then to have that added layer of she's the one pacing you to the finish,
mhm.
regardless of the result, again, has to be just like a huge emotional boost for both of you. But I can only imagine for yourself that wanting to show up and wanting to be the example that you're hoping to set for her has to be very powerful when you're very tired.
Yeah, I was very tired. I was very dead. I was like, Abby, you are seeing me at like the other two pacers I had, like I was not on the climbs, obviously, but like I was able to have conversations with them and talk to them. And I was
Yeah.
like you are going to see me at my worst. Like it sucks. It's the middle of the night.
This is what
Everything
it
hurts so
is.
bad.
You want to
Yeah.
run Eastern States one day?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But I think she knew that and she knew it was gonna be hard and there were times I was like, it sucked. But I was like and I really thought there was somebody right behind me. I kept saying to her, Abby, there's somebody 2 minutes behind me. Like, we can't slow down. And I was like, Abby, there's somebody 2 minutes behind me, but if they come up on me, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't have much left, but I've been leading for 40 miles. Like, I can't let somebody pass us now, but it hurts so much. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do if somebody comes up on us. And I just like kept telling her, there's somebody right behind us. Like, I was like, I can hear them talking, Abby. There was nobody there.
Okay,
There
I was
was,
going to say, hold
yeah,
on a second. Where did that information come
yeah.
from?
There was nobody there. There was nobody.
Okay,
I did
just a
not
fear.
know. Yeah, I was just scared. I was running scared, quite literally. Because they didn't tell me till the end, like, oh yeah, at the last aid station, they were over an hour behind you. And I was like, great, glad I knew that. But it was good, I think, for me to think there was still someone right behind me because it still pushed me instead of being like, oh, like I wanted to walk it in. It would have been great to walk that race in. I hurt so bad, my feet were destroyed, but I'm glad that I didn't, and I'm glad that I was able to run. Well, I thought I was running. I might have been walking. It was an attempt at a run the whole way in, and it and it was also nice to like I didn't want to just break the course record. Like if I'm gonna break the course record, I want to set a good mark. I want to set a high standard for women to beat because the next woman that comes in, eventually, it might be a few years before a woman breaks it, but like whenever they do, like they're going to know that they earned that. Like it's it's a pretty solid time, and I know eventually it's gonna be broken, and I hope that I'm there to see it whenever it is, honestly, because that would probably be it was so close to 23 hours that you're gonna see the first woman go under 23 whenever it gets broken, so
Yeah. So your best case scenario, your A goal, everything goes perfectly, was 23:30. For listeners, what time did you end up crossing the finish line?
23 hours, 9 minutes, and 40 something seconds.
That is a 1 hour and 25-minute women's course record, and the first time a woman has ever gone under 24 hours. That's incredible. What your finish line photo or videos sure made it look like you were bouncing and fresh coming across the finish line. I'm sure that was excitement,
No.
adrenaline, all of
Yeah.
that. Talk a little bit about those feelings coming across the finish line. What did it mean to you?
I couldn't believe it. Running down that last climb, I could see there were like red lights lining the field, so you knew in the dark like where to go. And when we saw those red lights, I was like Abby. Like I think I was like Abby, and I think I just said her name a couple of times. Like it was just like disbelief. Like we're here. Like it's right. Like I'm here on the hill, and it's right there. It's right there. And I just kept saying, like, we did it. Like, I could not believe that we actually did it. And running across the finish line, I was like, I could not believe, like, I just was in disbelief of what I did. Like, we were first overall. We were the first woman under 24 hours, and we didn't just merely break the course record. Like, we really broke the course record. I just,
You earned it. Yeah.
yeah. And that was a crazy feeling to know that, like, we worked so hard, not just all day and all night, but in training. Like I put in the work and it paid off. It was just I couldn't believe it. It's still crazy to think about that I actually did that.
Your season is not over yet, but I am curious to hear what the culmination of this season, finishing with such a great result at Eastern States, it feels like you have really unlocked something within yourself and learned a lot about yourself across all of these races. What are you hoping to carry forward from this season into the rest of your season that's not over and the future as you move forward?
I feel like a couple things. So one is that I feel like in the sport of ultra running, I thought my only future of being a competitive runner was in looped racing, was in 24-hour events, was in looped flat 100 milers. But I feel like this season has really like opened up that I'm not quite there yet. You know, maybe on the looped racing, I'm kind of there. Like I can kind of compete with the big people. And in trail racing, I'm not there yet, but I think this season really helped me realize I can get there. And if I do want to compete at trails, like I think there's a chance that if I keep working really, really hard, that there's a chance that one day I'll be able to compete at a race like Western, which is a cool feeling that I finally like. I never really had confidence in that, but I think now there's a chance that we could get there. And I feel like also the mindset of like I feel like I'm a completely different person than I was 3 years ago, even like a year ago, whenever I talk to you. I feel like I have developed my mindset a lot and kind of um changed definitely for the better. And I feel like just keeping working on that and just carrying everything I've learned about myself and how my head works and carrying that forward into all kinds of racing is going to be really beneficial.
Yeah, it really shows. It really does. I don't want to keep you. I know that we're on a time crunch. Last question. When you finish out this season, what are you eyeing next, both in terms of trails and roads? And like, what is the vision over the next 6 months to a year?
So I'm currently on the wait list for Javelina 100, but I think that I should get off in like the first batch that they let off. And I would really like to just run hard there. I mean, that's a golden ticket race. Not that I think I can get a golden ticket, but I know that it being a golden ticket race, it brings out a ton of competition. So I think it would be cool to just run really hard and see where I am among the big West Coast people because, you know, I've never really competed in a trail race against the West Coast people. So I feel like it could be a good baseline of like, this is where I'm at. And that first place girl, that's where I want to be. But I can kind of
Mhm.
see how far off I am from that. So I feel like just running really hard there would be fun. Um, Not with any high expectations, but just run a hard race for Kaylee and then I'll have a good baseline. Um, and same, I was also kind of considering Black Canyon next year, 100K, for the same reason, but that would all kind of just, I kind of want to see how Javelina goes and things like that. And then probably another 24-hour in there somewhere. I would like to split 150 miles. I have less than 2.5 miles to go. So if I could have a really good day again, I think I could split 150 and then hopefully next year, at the end of next year in 2027, I will hopefully, fingers crossed, be representing Team USA for 24-hour worlds.
Love to see that progression. You, to be clear, when you competed at World Champs last year, you were an alternate on Team USA, but you finished as the second highest finisher for the US. And so I think that makes a statement, and it would be great to see you as a full part of that team this year or next year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really hope so. It's looking
Awesome.
good so far. So far,
Yeah.
it's looking good.
Yeah. Kaylee, I have really loved catching up. I really loved hearing the story about Western States. I really love hearing the story of your whole season. It has been really inspirational and really interesting to watch the way that you have evolved, your racing has evolved, and just a real joy to see you crushing it in multiple different ways in the sport at this point and with so much future still ahead for you. I'm excited to see what you do next and appreciate you taking the time so early in the morning to talk to me today.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me on. I enjoyed talking to you. I love talking about running, so I'll never say no for that opportunity.
For sure. We may be back at some point in the future too.
Yeah. You know,
All
hopefully,
right.
hopefully.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.